Hello Soul Tribe, and welcome to my channel Roseology. So today's pick a card reading is all about who you were in a past life. So this will be your most recent past life that you've had here on earth that I will be reading for today in this spread. So there's 6 options here. This is pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, pile 4, pile 5, and pile 6. You guys know me. I'm going to give you guys a full 60-second meditation, 30 seconds with no crystals in the piles, last 30 seconds with some crystals in the piles. That the way you guys can intuitively connect with this reading, because it is so extremely important for you guys to be intuitively connected throughout this reading, to make sure that you get these little intuitive hits throughout the reading. But we're going to go on ahead and start that 60-second meditation right now. Again, this is pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, pile 4, pile 5, and pile 6. So I'll give you guys 30 seconds to meditate with the crystals on the piles. All right, so hopefully that 60-second meditation was enough time for you guys to intuitively connect with the reading as well as pick a pile. If not, feel free to pause this video. For those of you that are ready to pick a pile, I have left the timestamps for each pile in the description box and the comments box down below. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into this reading. All right, in pile number 1, let's take a look at who you were in your past life. So the very first card that we have here is the 3 of Swords, then the Fool in reverse, and then the 4 of Swords in reverse. This 3 of Swords, the card on the left, is supposed to represent basically your status, what you did in the world, your career, and I get the sense that you really were not happy with, well, I mean, obviously the 3 of Swords is never really like a sign that somebody is happy about something, but I get the sense here that you really experienced a lot of maybe disappointment with your career. I think you had like really high hopes and just never saw those hopes met. Like you never, like your dreams didn't come true as far as your career or what you saw for your life. I don't really think that went in the direction that you wanted. In fact, I think it brought you like a lot of disappointment, like I was saying, and possibly even like heartbreak, because I think you had such high hopes. With this Fool card here in reverse, it kind of is again saying like you were somebody that really wanted to, I just get the feeling with this Fool card here in reverse that you really talked yourself out of a lot of things. Like you wanted to go, you wanted to explore, you wanted to be this adventurous type of person, but you really talked yourself out of it. Like you really were almost like too logical or too practical to just kind of just go out and explore and just live life. Like it just was not, you couldn't just kind of, it was almost as if your brain would convince you, like your thoughts would convince you, like everyone else can go out and live their life, but if you do it, it's not going to go as easily or it's not going to go as good. It was like you always talked yourself out of kind of being the person that you want it to be. So you never really got to live or see your full potential, honestly. With this 4 of Swords in reverse, I think you got to a point where towards the end of your life, when it was all said and done, I think you were just kind of like, you know what was I stressing about so much? Like, why didn't I ever just kind of just go out and live my life. I think towards the end of your life, you saw how much you kind of held your own self back from doing the things it is that you really wanted to do. And I think that you were kind of like disappointed with yourself. And I think you kind of look back on your life and you were like, man, like, I really wish I could kind of do this all over. I would do things like so different, you know, kind of like hindsight is always 2020. I really kind of get the feeling that that's how you really looked at your life, was like, damn, I should have did more. I could have done more. But I do believe that you had a kind of peaceful, death. I think that you lived a pretty long life as well. And I don't think that you went out like brutal or, you know, violently or anything like that. Like I said, I think you had a very long life, and I think you probably just went out of natural causes. I think you died of natural causes, and probably, in my opinion, I want to say that you probably died in your sleep or something like that. I just get the sense of a very peaceful end of your life, but not so much of a peaceful like life, because you were like kind of mentally torturing yourself. So let's take a look at your oracle cards here. The very first one that we have is Peacock. And Peacock's funny because Peacock actually represents being able to digest life in a very easy, peaceful, beautiful way. And another thing that I'm getting also with Peacock as well, that wasn't what I got with Peacock. Peacock, the definition I just gave you guys, is actually the description of this card. But because of this Peacock card, I do believe that you were actually probably somebody that was very beautiful or very attractive, or you just had a very beautiful energy about you, is what I get the sense of, that you had a very beautiful energy about you. And you even had an energy about you that was like very fun. Like, you know how Peacock has all these different colors and everything? That's what I'm getting. Like, you could have lived a very colorful life, but you kind of let that, your mind, the way that you thought about things, I think you really allowed your kind of thoughts to get in the way. But I get the feeling that you could have lived a very colorful life because you had so many different things that you wanted to do, and you just never really saw them out. You never saw them fulfilled. But the Peacock, it's interesting because the Peacock actually talks about being able to digest life in a very easy way. But here for me with these tarot cards, I see that digesting life for you, you didn't really digest it very easily. It was, for you, you were really hard on yourself. I think towards the end, you saw kind of all the mistakes you made and the things that you should have done. But I do get the sense that even though maybe on the inside you were like kind of freaking out, like, man, I didn't get to do this, I didn't get to do that, I don't think you ever really showed anybody. I think you always kind of kept this very calm, cool, collected exterior about yourself, where you never really seemed like you were freaking out, even though you probably were. The very next two cards that we have here is in Virgo. That makes a lot of sense. So you were probably a Virgo. And the 10th house, that's so funny because the 10th house represents your legacy, your career, what it is that you want to do in this life. Like, you can see your career, where are you going, your destiny. That is totally and responsibly success, become a person of power and status. Yes. So that's exactly why you were so let down behind your career, because you were a very 10th house driven person. And you were probably a Virgo, and that's probably why you were so kind of down on yourself, very hard on yourself. Virgos are extremely hard on themselves because they are the perfectionists of the zodiac, and they expect nothing short or less than perfect. And as you can see here, it says the analyzing of resulting from the perfectionism of, and that's exactly what Virgo is. They're perfectionists. Do what you must do, the details of, and the serving of others. Yeah. So I think you were really hard on yourself, probably because you were Virgo, and probably because you had a lot of action going on in your 10th house. And people that are very 10th house driven are all about their career and their legacy and status and power and who it is that they're supposed to be in life, because the 10th house is ruled by Capricorn. So that's everything that the 10th house is about. But that makes a lot of sense as 10th house and Virgo coming up. The next two cards that we have is Martyr and then Hero / Heroine. The Hero / Heroine light attribute saying a passion-free journey of personal empowerment, but the shadow side of hero or heroism is escapism and a false sense of heroism. Then the martyr light attribute is learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause, just like Virgo. And the shadow attribute is addiction to self-pity. Yeah, you were really hard on yourself about what it is that you did in life. You were really, really hard on yourself. I can see that. The very next card that we have here is family. So I think that you were a very involved person. I think family meant a lot to you. I think family was a big thing for you because since you didn't get to live the life that you wanted to live, I think you really tried to push that or kind of push that adventurous side out in the rest of your family or even in your kids. I think you really push them to live a full life because you felt like you didn't get to live one. So I feel like you kind of vicariously lived through your family and your children, maybe. The very next card that we have here is let go of control issues, allow the situation to unfold naturally. Yeah, so you were probably very, 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 very strict and hard on yourself. You were a perfectionist. You were Virgo. That makes so much sense. The very next card is why. Yeah, I don't think you were very happy about the way that things unfolded with your career. I think you were just, the way things unfolded with your career and with yourself, I think you just were like, why can I be different? Why can I be more adventurous? Why am I so stuck in my head? Why do I always think like the worst things are going to happen or that like I can't be successful? Why can I believe more in myself? I think you were very like a thinker, just a really hardcore thinker. The very next card that we have here is Jupiter abundance. Yeah, so you probably could have had a lot in your life. Like I said, with this peacock here, I think you could have lived a very abundant, very fulfilled life, as well as you probably, this card could be talking about your family as well. You may have had a very, very, very big family. And I think you probably pushed your family to live a very full, abundant life. So that might be, extra confirmation there. And then the very last card that we have here is wisdom. On a Wednesday with a waxing moon, let wisdom come and be renewed. Yeah, so I think that you really did try to pass down this wisdom to your own family, and you probably passed down a lot of wisdom about exactly like living your life and what life should be all about. Because I think, like I said, hindsight is 20/20. I think towards the end of your life, you're like, man, I should have did this and that differently. And I believe as well as if you have intuitively picked pile number one, I believe that you took a lot of wisdom from your past life and have applied it into this one, or you just kind of started out this present incarnation, this life that you're living right now. I think you probably started out with a lot of wisdom, and I believe that it definitely came from this recent life that you just had, because like I said, I think you lived a very long life, but just not a fulfilled one. And I think you probably even said to yourself in your last life, you know what, next time, like, or if I get to do this again, man, I would do things differently, like I was saying in the beginning. So yeah, this is all I'm saying for pile number one, but this is actually like, even though it's kind of sad that you didn't get to live like a fulfilled like career life or a life of status, I think you did really get a lot of fulfillment out of your family, and that's a very beautiful thing. And plus, I think you're applying a lot of wisdom into this life now. So, you know, honestly, at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason, and who knows, you know, you might have a lot more wisdom and knowledge now this time around. So this is all I'm saying for my pile number one, but thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm going to go on ahead and move on to pile number two. All right, bye guys. All right, and pile number two, welcome, and let's take a look at your past life. So the very first card that we have here is the Devil, then Justice in reverse, and then the Two of Coins in reverse. Okay, so this left card here is representative of your career or what you mainly did in life, what you mainly focused on in life. And to see this Devil card here is very interesting because I remember as I was shuffling for pile number two, getting this like immense pain around my neck. It felt as if somebody was like, it felt violent. It felt like, I don't know. It felt kind of violent. It felt like something or someone had their hands around my neck or had something around my neck. So when I flipped these cards over, which is right now, to see this Devil card here makes me think that for sure, maybe, you were involved in some sort of criminal enterprises. Maybe you were a criminal, or maybe like somebody who was actually hired to take care of people, like an assassin. Or the other option here could definitely be that you were somebody of a very high status, like you had a very high position in the world, like maybe like a high priest or an advisor to somebody really, really, really important. And to see this devil card here, this lets me know that you were very attached to your job. You were very addicted to your job, and that main thing that you loved so much, which was your job and your career, what you did in life, was actually the main thing that was very toxic and poisonous to you as a person. And I feel that it really kind of started to bend and kind of twist your morals and your values as a person. And I think it started to kind of turn you into someone that wasn't necessarily maybe like too great of a person because of what you were surrounded by every single day. And then this middle card here is representative of your personality, or who you were, the type of person that you were in your past life. And to see this justice card in reverse, that lets me know that you were definitely kind of off balance, like completely off balance. There wasn't a lot of justice for you when it came to you. And that's what makes me kind of feel like maybe you were in a position of power where you got to decide if justice was served or not. Or you were the person serving justice in your own sort of way without going through the justice system, if that makes sense. So it kind of makes me feel like you really had a lot of power in your hands, but you were very hidden. I believe that you were a very hidden person. A lot of people did not necessarily maybe know what you did in life, which is kind of what's making me lean towards like assassin, maybe an advisor, but you were really somebody behind the scenes. Like you pulled a lot of strings behind the scenes that kind of dictated what happened to another person's life. And so, I mean, you could have even been like some sort of criminal boss or something like that, honestly. For me, with this Two of Coins, it's just another card that's showing a lot of imbalance. It's like, I think that maybe towards the end of your life, you did see how your job was very toxic on you as a person. I think you kind of saw where it led you, the paths that it kind of led you down. And I think you kind of went down a path where later on in your life, you realize like this wasn't okay, or this wasn't right, or I should have went in a different direction. I should have went in a completely different direction than what I got involved with. But maybe you got involved because it was money, the money was good or something like that. But I do think that, I don't know, from this right here, I am getting the feeling that maybe you could have either lived a long life or your death happened kind of out of nowhere. And maybe it was kind of quick, like very fast. Like I'm kind of getting the sense that you weren't expecting your life to end when it did. And it was very quick. Like just all of a sudden, like boom, like went to the left, or it just went in a completely different direction is what I'm getting from this Two of Coins here. So let's take a look at your oracle cards and see what we got going on. The very first one that we have is Unicorn. That's funny because unicorn has absolutely nothing to do with any of these types of careers. Unicorn is actually this card, the Spirit Animal Oracle deck, I was actually using to reveal more about this middle card, your personality type. And the unicorn here lets me know that you were actually somebody that was very spiritual. Like you had a very strong sense of your third eye. Like your third eye was very active. Your intuition was very active. You were a very intuitive person. Now, whether you listen to that intuition or not is, I mean, I don't know. Can't necessarily say if you actually utilized your intuition. I'm going to guess that you did not utilize your intuition with these three cards down here, but you were a very intuitive person. So it's very interesting. And that might have been what I was getting with this Two of Coins. Like you kind of realized towards the end of your life, you went in a direction that you really shouldn't have. You had no business being in this kind of industry, but you were. And I think towards the end of your life, or when something very, in my opinion, tragic happened with this Two of Coins. I don't know why, but it looks like you were just going in one direction and then something happened where it was just like, boom. The very next card that we have here is in Capricorn. So maybe you were a Capricorn, and that would make a lot of sense with this kind of devil card, because the Capricorn is very, very dedicated, committed, devoted to their career and who they're going to be in life. And that's because Capricorn rules our 10th house, and Capricorn is all about, as it says right here, dedication to achieve, focusing on resulting from the rules imposed by your goals, day-to-day reality of, use the most business-like use the most business-like way. So yeah, Capricorn's all about their career and everything like that. And like I said, I do get the sense that you liked your career. You really loved it at first, but then like after a while, you really started to see, like it was as if your career started to kind of reveal itself to you. In your eyes, your career, when it started to reveal itself to you, it became this like very evil, immoral sort of thing. But I don't think you saw it till it was way too late. Like the end of your life, I think, is when you saw it. Like when, I don't know, I want to kind of say that you were like maybe killed or murdered. And I think maybe like in that moment you realize, you know what, this wasn't even like worth it. The very next card that we have is stay optimistic about your love life. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. So I don't necessarily think you had a romantic partner. If you did have a romantic partner, I don't think you got your feelings involved. I think that you were very devoted to your career, and that's just all that you were about. And I do believe that I don't think you had a family. I think that maybe you might have had some people in and out, but I don't really think that you were about that family life. I think you were very kind of just all about you, especially with this Capricorn card here. Capricorn, they're all about themselves. It's the little goat that makes it all the way to the mountain by himself. So he is like a lone wolf. And I kind of feel like that was you. Like you were a very like loner sort of lone wolf. Like I said, I think you really worked behind the scenes in the shadows. So a lot of people really weren't privy to who you were and what you did in your personal life, you know. Very next card that we have is oracle cards. You are able to discern answers and guidance for yourself and others. This kind of goes hand in hand with this unicorn card right here. So maybe your life was supposed to have been dedicated to the occult or hidden knowledge. You know, things like that, but you just, yeah, you went in a completely different direction for sure, because unicorn and oracle cards are basically the same thing. It's just using your intuition, using your intuitive capabilities to really be able to see things that other people can't see, that hidden knowledge, get access to that hidden knowledge. And yeah, I think you went in a completely different direction. The next card that we have, the next two cards that we have here is addict and rescuer. Okay, addict is the devil card all day. They might as well be the same cards. So addict, the light attribute here is helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior. The shadow is compromises integrity and honesty, allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. Yeah, that's exactly what ended up happening with your career. It really kind of took over and it turned you into a person you didn't want to be. And rescuer, the light attributes are provide strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward. Shadow attributes assumes that the rescued will reciprocate, keeps the rescued one needy. Yeah, so you could have been like somebody like who, like I was saying, like either you were going out getting justice for people, like maybe an assassin or a criminal or something like that kind of took care of things that you knew the justice system wasn't going to take care of. So you kind of took justice into your own hands. Or you really were a part of like the justice system and you were just abusing your power. Like you were throwing people in jail that didn't belong there, or getting people out that really did belong in jail, something kind of like that. To see this rescuer and this addict here, so lets me know that you really had power in your hands over what happened to other people. That's what a rescuer is, right? And then addict, yeah, you were definitely addicted to the fact that people needed you, or that you were kind of in control over what happened with who. I think that it was just very addicting for you. The very next two cards that we have here is mending and not for you. So yeah, I don't think that your career is for you at all. And then mending, I'm kind of getting the feeling is kind of like you realizing, like I said, towards the end of your life, that you should have went in a different direction. As you can see, like these two like kind of fairies like playing together. It seems as if like you went one direction, but you should have been over here. That's what I'm getting from this card, really, is like it looks a lot like this Two of Coins over here. And then the next two cards that we have is first house, the body, fire element, desire. So fire element, desire, that makes me feel like you were definitely addicted. Like you loved this job, whatever it was, your career, whatever it was, you loved it. Like it lit a fire in you. It was something for you where it was like, oh, this makes me feel alive, you know? And that's probably why you didn't really feel the need to have a family or someone in your life. Like this was enough for you, was your career. And then first house, the body. I don't know why, but with this first house, the body card, it's like, I really feel as though your job had a lot to do with I don't know. I really kind of feel like you were an assassin with this first house, the body. I don't know why, but that kind of makes sense with like the pain that I was getting like around my neck. It really feels like something happened to your body, or maybe you choked people, killed people as your job. I don't know. Maybe that's how you got rid of people. I don't know, but I really kind of feel like you were an assassin or something, but you weren't supposed to be, because you were mixed up with some really sort of people, you know? And then the very last card that we have here is safe home. I cast a circle round about. Safety now is beyond doubt. Okay, so yeah, I think that you were in some sort of criminal enterprise where you kind of were like the justice system, where you kind of were like, people came to you when they had an issue and when they need somebody dealt with that they knew the government or their justice system wasn't going to deal with. I kind of feel like you were like kind of like this like really twisted like Robin Hood or something, where you kind of like kept your neighborhood safe, but you did some really dirty things or something. It's odd, because it's like you were such a good person, like you wanted to be a really good person, but it's like life didn't allow you to be a good person. You really got kind of sucked into a place where you had to kind of get dirty like everyone else around you. And it really is kind of sad. It kind of sucks. But yeah, but I do believe in this life as well, you probably have a lot of these same attributes, like with the intuitive capabilities. But this is all that I'm seeing for my pile number 2s here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'm just going to go on ahead and move on to pile number 3. Bye, guys. All right, and pile number 3, welcome. And let's take a look at who you were in your past life. So the very first card that we have is the Ace of Cups in reverse. Then the Knight of Cups, also in reverse. And then the Sun. With this Ace of Cups in reverse, I feel like who you were in life, I feel like you had like the highest. So I feel like who you were in life, I feel like you had a very high status. Like, I feel like you were like the top of the top, like top of the top. Whoever you were in life, you were an extremely important person, because as you can see with the Ace of Cups, this is like divinity. I mean, there's doves on the side, a random cup like spilling over into the ocean. I mean, this is like you were somebody extremely important. I don't want to say like a king or a queen or something like that, because not everybody that picked this could probably be a king or a queen. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe so. But I'm getting that sense that like king, queen sort of status, where it's like you are the most important person, basically. So a very, very, very important person. But as far as your career and your status, because this is in reverse, I do believe that you didn't necessarily get to pursue what you wanted to pursue. And then to see this Knight of Cups here in reverse, which is representative of your personality, this, to me, you look like somebody who was almost like an artist. Like you really wanted to like express yourself differently. Like you really wanted to do something different with your life, but because of who you were born as, you weren't able to. You weren't allowed to. You had to do something else. You were expected to be somebody. You were already expected to be somebody before you were even born. So you never even got to explore your own passions and your own creativity. And I see here that you were like a really creative person. So I feel like you were really into the arts, or just really into creatively expressing yourself, but you just weren't allowed to. And with this Knight of Cups in reverse, your personality kind of lets me know that like you were somebody who really wasn't happy about the fact that they were born who they were born as, because of all those high expectations that people had of you. People had such high expectations of you. Not even expectations, it's just like you were born to be a certain person. Like your life wasn't even your life to live. Like you already had like your life was already completely planned out. Your destiny, your fate, everything was already completely planned out. You basically were just born, just showed up, and people just kind of told you who to be, told you what life to live. You weren't really consulted in the type of life that you wanted to live. And I feel like you really, really kind of had like a chip on your shoulder, or almost like just this really like empty feeling about life, because of the simple fact that you weren't allowed to really explore who you were born to be. I do feel as though that you really, you kind of had like a bit of this like empty feeling about, I really wanted, I'm really into this, or I really love that, or I would love to explore this, I would love to explore that, but I can't because of who I am. And this card over here, the Sun, is representative. This card on the right is all about if you enjoyed your life and kind of like the end of your life. And for me, the Sun card here is, I do believe that you really did enjoy the things around you in life. I believe that you did not have a shortage of anything in your life. Like I don't think that you wanted for anything, because I think that you already had everything. Honestly, I just think that you were emotionally unfulfilled, spiritually unfulfilled. Like I feel like emotionally and spiritually you were very empty and not very fulfilled. But as far as it goes, like with your life, like the end of your life, I believe that you kind of left behind a legacy, because like I said, I feel like you were just a very important person with this Ace of Cups here. And I do believe that you left behind a legacy. I believe that people like really remembered your name, like just the sun like kind of gleaming down on this baby. It feels almost as if like you were almost as if like people like predicted your birth, or like but almost as if like you were just like this golden child or something, is the feeling that I'm getting about your past life. And I do believe that, like I said, you enjoyed the things that you had, but you really weren't too happy about that emotional and spiritual like unfulfillment. I don't think you were happy about that at all. But I do think that you lived a very good life. I think for me, I don't know that you lived a very long life. I feel like your name, your legacy lived on, but I don't know that you lived per se a long life. I'm kind of getting the feeling that you really didn't, but I don't think you died very young. I think you like maybe died like middle aged, like somewhere where it was like you still had it still seemed like you had a lot of life left. But you really did leave behind a legacy. So let's go ahead and get to your oracle cards. The very first one that we have is Lion, and Lion is representative of somebody that's very regal, just like a king or a queen or something like that. Like that's what the Lion is all about. He is a regal master, basically. Well, they call him patient, regal, and a complete master. And he's the epitome of peace and strength. But when he's out of balance, he's very withdrawn or too serious, just like the Knight of Cups. So I think that you probably definitely were somebody that was like I said, this golden child. It was like your birth was even like predicted or something before it happened. The very next card that we have here is in Gemini. So you may have been a Gemini in your past life. And Gemini is all about knowing things. Just they know things. They know how to communicate very well. They're all about getting information and kind of coming back and just delivering it to people, or delivering it to the masses, because it's what Gemini does. Their brain works really, really quickly, being ruled by Mercury. Their brain moves very quickly, and they're all about the intellect, the mind, communication. That's why Gemini is pictured as the twins. A lot of people think it's because, they have like a split personality. Geminis have a split personality. They kind of do. But Gemini is actually depicted with the twins because Gemini's love is communication. They love talking. They love communicating. They love spreading knowledge and information. So maybe that's what you kind of wanted to do with your life, is spread knowledge and information. But I feel like people were very in tune with who you were and what you were doing in life. The very next card that we have is soulmates. So maybe you did find your love in your past life, but let me see. Let's get to the next card. The next card that we have here is passion. Allow your heart and soul to sing with joy. I don't know why, but these two cards are really sad to me. Maybe you were in love, but you never got to be with that person you were in love with. I don't know, but these two cards feel very sad to me. They just feel like you didn't get to be with who you wanted to be with. But I feel like you did find love. You just weren't allowed to be with who you wanted to be with. And that might be because of your status, who you were born to be. Like I said, your life was already completely planned out. So maybe you did like find love, but it wasn't with the person that you were allowed to be with. The next card that we have here is justice. Your career brings fairness and protection to others who need your help. You guys, you were somebody like really important. You guys were like I said, I don't want to say king or queen, because I don't want everybody who picked pile number 3 to be like, oh my God, I was like a king or a queen of something. But I feel like you guys were. I don't know what else to say besides like you were a king or a queen, or I mean, you were somebody who is very important. You're very important in your community, where you lived, maybe even your country. You were somebody extremely important. The next two cards that we have here is Midas, Midas Meser. I think I'm saying that right. And then look at Prince. Okay. So, okay. All right. I didn't want to say that every one of you that picked pile number 3 was like a king or a queen or a prince or a princess, but I mean, like the cards are speaking for itself. You clearly were somebody extremely important of a very high status. Because it says here, this light attributes for this Midas, I don't even know what this is entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything to gold, delight in sharing life's riches. Shadow attributes is hoarding money and emotions, obsessive fear of losing your wealth. And then the Prince light attribute is romantic charm and potential for power. Oh, just like the Knight of Cups, romantic charm and the passion with the soulmates here too. But the shadow attribute of the Prince is using power for self-aggrandizement. Well, I don't feel like you were that type of person. I feel like you were like a really good person. You hated who you were born as, I feel like is what happened here. And the very next card that we have is part of fortune increase. So you were very fortunate. Yeah, you were, there's no other way to say it. And then the very last card that we have here is divine guidance. Whispers from the beings who shine. Let their message be clear and kind. Divine guidance. So I feel like with divine guidance, like I said, like I feel like you were this golden child. I really do feel like it says here divine guidance. Like I feel like you were somebody that was like your position, your past life, like you were somebody who was like the world was waiting on or something. It feels very like you were really, really important. And then divine guidance here as well. Like, I feel like you had like a lot of advisors around you. I feel like you had a lot of people around you kind of telling you what to do, trying to advise you and telling you like the right decisions to make and the decisions that you don't need to make. And as well as I do believe that you were just born to be this really important person for sure. Like for sure. I definitely do believe that. Or maybe you were, yeah, like even you can see like her looking up at the stars. I feel like you were like predicted or like somebody like prophesized like your birth or something. Like, I don't know how else to explain this, but I mean, that's just what I'm getting. Like for sure. I feel like you were like just that important of a person. I don't know how else to put it, honestly. But I feel like for you yourself, like you hated this kind of position that you were born into. Like I feel like you really hated it. But it was just like your name was on it before you were even born. Like you clearly were somebody extremely important. But yeah, this is all I am pretty much seeing for you guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. My pile number 3s, you kings and queens out there. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm going to go on ahead and move on to pile number 4, and I'll be back next time. All right. Bye guys. All right. And pile number 4, let's take a look at who you were in your past life. So the very first card that we have is strength. Then the 8 of coins in reverse. Then the Queen of Wands. Okay, so I haven't seen any of these cards because as I just kind of channel and shuffle for you guys, I'm not looking at the cards. To see this card on the left here, this is all about your career status and what you did or what you mainly focused on in your life. And to see that the strength card here, the first thing that I heard when I saw the strength card was like you tackled giants, basically. So you were like almost like an activist. You were someone that you weren't afraid of your government. You weren't afraid of the people in charge. You were somebody who was fearless. Like, I mean, fearless. Like, and I see you as somebody that really spoke up for people that couldn't speak up for themselves or that didn't have a voice. You really just like being like the person where it was like, you know, no one's looking out for them, so I have to look out for them. And because you were so fearless, like you were just so damn brave, you just kind of saw it as as a job. You kind of took it on as your own job to help people in like your community. I feel like it was really community based, but you were really very, very well known in your community is what I feel like. And when I mean community, I don't mean like neighborhood, like you're a few neighbors. I mean like you were very well known, probably like in your city, because I feel like you were probably living in some sort of a big city, and you were very well known in it because of how outspoken you were. I feel like you were a very outspoken person. Like I said, like this card for me right here would equate to today's like an activist or something like of today's time. And that's what I got with this one. And to see this 8 of coins in reverse, I think that you were like a really serious person, but I do feel as though you had like a very warm, loving side. I feel like you were almost kind of like not two different people, but when it came to like your career, was it you were focused on helping other people? I feel like you lived for that. Like you took that so extremely serious. Like for you, it was like kind of like life and death. Like I will die for this cause. Like that's how much you believed in it, and that's how fearless you were. Was just like, I will die for this because that's how much I believe in this. That's how much I hate injustice. That's how much I am fighting for these people. I'm fighting for my community. I'm fighting for my people. Like I don't care. But at the same time, I feel like the people in your community saw you as somebody very warm, very loving, very nurturing, very kind. Like they felt like they had like a friend or like almost like a parental figure in you. I feel like people saw you as like their mother or their father or something, like someone that everyone knew they could count on. Everyone knew like that you were just fighting for them, that you were, you know, like people really trusted you to speak up for them and to fight for them. And I believe that because of that, they really like took care of you. To see this Queen of Wands over here, and she almost looks like angelic. Like it even almost looks like her crown is like a halo or something. And I feel like that's exactly how people looked at you as. They looked at you as like this person that was like sent from the heavens. Like you were just like God's gift to them. And I believe that because of that, because you really took care of them, they really took care of you. Like I feel like you were almost like a little like a mini like king or queen in your community, in your city. Like that's how much they took care of you. It was just like they really treated you like you were royalty because you were to them. You were like this person that really fought for them. So they really gave everything it is that they could to you. And so I just really saw you like really surrounded by life's like greatest things, like just really living an amazing life. And it's not even that like, I don't even really feel like you were like a super rich person or anything, but I feel like you had a lot, like maybe financially or like currency wise, you didn't have a lot of like maybe money, like maybe coin, but I feel like you had a lot of things because I feel like people would just like give you things, you know, like, so you would get things, but I don't think you would get them by paying for them. Whatever it was that people had, I feel like they just gave it to you. So I feel like you were surrounded by a lot of things and you were treated by royalty and you were treated very well. And I feel like you, I don't think that you had the longest life, but I don't think you had a very short one either. Like, I feel like your life was very, very, very fulfilled. And I feel like you were just kind of like remembered like as this very angelic, like amazing person. So let's just get to you guys' oracle cards. So, look at this. The Nightingale. This is your first one. And the Nightingale, he is all about words. He's all about speaking. He's all about music. He speaks for people, and he is described in the book, in this Wild Unknown Animal Oracle deck. He's described as a fearless voice, speech, communication, or song. And that's exactly what I saw you as. They say that when the Nightingale is in balance, he sings and he speaks freely with kindness. And to bring into balance is music, because that's what the Nightingale is. He's like a singer. He's like the singer of the birds, and he has a very beautiful voice, very beautiful sound that comes from the Nightingale. But that's what I saw. I see you as like this person that like, I don't care who I have to tackle. I will tackle anybody. I feel like you really fought and lived for the little people, the people that really couldn't do anything for themselves. And they loved you for that. Like, yeah, you were definitely like an activist or something. Like you were there for the little people. The very next two cards that we have is in Taurus. Okay. And in the 8th house. It's funny. That's really funny because Taurus is kind of the person where they're not very like, because I'm a Taurus, by the way, so I really know a lot about Taurus. But Taurus isn't necessarily like gung ho about certain things unless they are really passionate about it. If a Taurus is really passionate about it, they will not stop until like their heart gives out. they won't stop once they find something that they're passionate in, because they're a fixed sign, so they keep moving. As you can see, like Taurus is also all about resources, because Taurus is like the natural sign of the zodiac. So it's all about bridging the spiritual and the natural realm, because that's what Taurus does. So it's all about for Taurus, it's all about bridging the spiritual and the natural realm. So the things that you want with the things that you have. It's all about resources, basically, the practicalities, because Taurus is very practical, being a fixed earth sign, and then resulting from the productivity of. So it's a very hard worker as a Taurus, being pretty laid back until they have to get up and move. That's why they're represented as the bull, because bulls, what do? They lay around all day until you wave a red, cloth in their face, and then they're ready to go, and they don't stop until you're dead. And that's exactly what a Taurus is. So, and that's what I'm seeing here with the Strength card. And then we have the 8th house, which is all about endings and beginnings, or life and death. So it's personal power. It's all about personal power, because the 8th house rules Scorpio, and the mysteries of life, a major change, life or death issue, just like I was saying. It's like life or death, yes, and getting and using power and using other people's resources. Yeah, so I could totally see that. Tauruses, they will for sure use other people's resources, and they're all about resources, because they're all about the 2nd house. And another thing too, Taurus kind of ties in with the Nightingale, because the Nightingale is all about song and music and singing, and the Taurus rules the 2nd house, which is ruled by Venus, who's all about beauty, love, attraction, even singing. Tauruses they rule the throat, so they're known to have a very beautiful voice, beautiful singing voice. And that's what I was seeing over here with this Queen of Wands, was like, I don't necessarily see that you had like you were super duper rich. You could have been, because of the Queen of Wands over here, but I see you more as like just somebody that was surrounded by very beautiful things, like a Taurus. Taurus loves money. So you could have very well been a very rich person. And like I said, 8th house, it rules power. So you had a lot of power. Your voice was very powerful. You were like an activist back in the day. I'm sure of it. The very next card that we have here is healing family issues. Your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. Okay, so for me, healing family issues means that you got a lot of your voice from your family. You got it at a young age. Maybe you didn't really have a family. Maybe you had a very tough life growing up, but I think that you got a lot of your strength from your family and from your earlier years. That's what I'm getting with this healing family issues card. The next card that we have here is music. Look at that. Your connection to music is healing for yourself and others. So maybe you were also a musician. You could have also been a musician on the side, or really enjoyed music, but because you were a Taurus, you're probably a Taurus, you love music. Tauruses, we love music. Honestly, Taurus loves anything that's beautiful that has to do with the 5 senses. The very next card that we have here is Yin, and this is all about kind of receiving. It's kind of like about that divine feminine. So I'm not going to say that you were definitely a woman in your past life, because you could have been a man too. You could have been a woman or a man in your past life. But I think that you had a lot of divine feminine sort of way about you, where you were very probably intuitively connected, and you probably I also feel as though, like I said, you were kind of like the parental figure of your community. So I think it was really important for you to give back, to nurture your community, to take care of them, because this divine feminine here paired with the Strength card, you were like somebody that was like a force to be reckoned with. You were just a very strong individual that was all about speaking up for the little person, just like a mother would do for her children. And that's what I kind of am getting with this spread here. And then the next 2 cards that we have is Exorcist, and Virgin. Okay, yeah, so I don't think you really had a lot going on with your love life here. Since we have the healing family issues and the Virgin card, I don't think you had a lot going on with your love life. But the light attribute of the Virgin is maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit, and the shadow is fear of intimate union. So yeah, I don't think you had much of a love life. And then we have Exorcist here. The light attribute is freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. Yes, you were such an activist. And the shadow attribute is fear of facing your own demons. Yeah, I don't get that you were afraid of facing your own demons at all. I don't think you were scared of any damn thing, actually. I think that you were just like, I think if anything, you were probably the scary one when it came to your enemies, and when it came to anybody messing with your community, messing with your family, messing with those that were closest to you, messing with a person that couldn't defend themselves. I think that you were a force to be reckoned with, and you were scary, man. And the next 2 cards that we have is 4th house roots. So this 4th house is ruled by Cancer and the Moon, which has a lot to do with the family. So yeah, I think you really got a lot of your strength, a lot of your personality from your family, from your roots, from your how you were brought up. I think maybe you probably went through maybe a difficult childhood, and that's maybe what gave you like your sense of needing to take care of people that couldn't take care of themselves. And then we have Pluto here, transformation. Yeah, so you were all about taking the big people in charge. If they were abusing their power, you were all about taking them and breaking them down. And Pluto also rules the 8th house because it rules Scorpio. And we pulled the 8th house card here. So yeah, I do definitely believe that you were all about taking power. If that power was abusing the little people, I think you were all about speaking up so loudly that if people weren't careful, you probably could have like literally overthrown people in power, because you had such a following, such a strong voice, and you were so damn fearless that I really do think that you probably could have like cut the head off the giant. Like you just weren't afraid. And to see this transformation here with this 8th house, I think you probably actually did put people that were in power, in positions of power. I think they feared you, honestly. Like I think you kind of flipped the scales when it came to power. And I think while you were around, there was probably a lot more balance in your community than other places in the world, because I think they honestly really feared you. And then the very last card that we have here is good cheer. With kind heart and humor free, may good cheer rule, so mote it be. Yes, I think that people really loved you. Like, I think that you were such a loved individual. So I don't know, like I said, if you lived a long life. For me, I'm kind of getting the sense that you weren't necessarily super old when you died, but you weren't young either. I just feel like you were kind of like maybe close to middle aged, something like that. But I don't think you were very old though. And that might also be why you didn't have a family of your own, because I don't think you were very old when you died. Yeah, this is all I'm seeing for my pile number 4s, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was a really fun reading to do. I'm going to go on ahead and move on to pile number 5, but I'll see you guys next time. Okay. Bye. All right. In pile number 5, let's take a look at who you were in your past life. So the very first card that we have here is the 8 of Wands, and then the King of Wands in reverse, and then the Page of Cups. To see this 8 of Wands here, it's like, okay, so I feel like your life was very literally up in the air. Like it was just like I feel like you moved from town to town or city to city or place to place and changed jobs a lot. I feel like you moved around a lot, and like you probably even, from like every place that you would move to, you probably would adapt their kind of characteristics or their culture, their tradition. So I feel like you were a very like flexible kind of person. Like you're like a chameleon. I feel like your life was very, very, very exciting life. You definitely did not have a boring life. And with this King of Wands right here in the middle, lets me know again that you were somebody very exciting. You loved life. You loved everything about life. Like you had a passion for life, but you were very impulsive. You definitely did not think things through. You were just kind of on the go, ready to go whenever, wherever. Like literally, I mean, it was just like, I feel like you didn't have a lot of solid ground or solid footing in your life. I feel like you were just so high on life all the time that you were just constantly trying to get your next fix out of life, where it was just kind of like, okay, where can I move next? What person can I fall in love with next? Like, I feel like everything was just kind of fleeting and just exciting. And the second that things got kind of mundane or kind of dull or a little boring or a little repetitive, you were just kind of out like, oh no, this needs to switch up. So I think that with the Page of Cups here, I think that even though you had a very exciting life, I feel like you kind of looked back and were kind of like, you know what, like maybe I should have slowed down. Maybe I should have committed. Maybe I should have like found my place and just stuck there. You know, I feel like you kind of look back on your choices and was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have like up and left. I shouldn't have been so impulsive and so, you know, just like driven to get like my next like fix of excitement out of life, you know? So I feel like you kind of maybe look back on your life and wish that you had really found some solid ground with a person or in a certain city or in a certain place or in a certain aspect of your life or with a certain job or something. I feel like you really looked back and was like, I really didn't get a lot of fulfillment really anywhere. Like, yeah, it was exciting, but what did I get out of it at the end of the day? I mean, you know, I feel like you kind of even maybe at the end of your life, you kind of looked around and was like, I really don't know a lot of these people. I really don't know where I'm like kind of at, like, because you moved around so much that you weren't really able to keep consistent relationships and a consistent, make like a consistent like neighborhood or tribe that you belong to. So I feel like you really kind of felt that towards the end of your life. I feel like in the beginning, it was just more so like fun, but towards the end of your life, you really felt that like longing of really wanting to have somewhere to call home, really wanting to go back home and like see your person there. And I don't know that really happened, but I feel like that was something that you really did regret not putting more effort into making something like laying a foundation somewhere. So let's go ahead and move on to your oracle cards. The very first one that we've got over here is Tarantula. And Tarantula talks about not being able to make a decision, being at a crossroads in life and not being able to make a decision. And you need to make a very important one. It's all about claiming your life's purpose. So I feel like for me, you really never kind of found that solid grounding. That's what I kind of feel like. I don't know that you necessarily lived out your life's purpose, but I definitely get the sense that you never really found purpose in anything, because you would switch it up so much, you would change around so much. Then the next card that we have here is Dragonfly. Oh man, okay, so Dragonfly is he's this master of light, illusion, and the mind. And the Dragonfly is somebody who he moves around a lot. He's very shifty and he changes a lot. I also feel like as well that you were very like attractive, like not just physically, but like people were just drawn to you anyways, and then boom, you would just like up and disappear like out of nowhere. I just kind of feel like that. I feel like you would attract people because the dragonfly, it's a very pretty creature. It's a beautiful insect, and normally when you see a dragonfly, you kind of like stop and look and go, wow, like look at all those colors and look at all that, like dragonflies look very beautiful. And I feel like once you would like kind of pull people in with how you look or your energy or just like that magnetism that you'd have, like they'd kind of get caught up in your web. And then they'd be ready to kind of sit and make a home with you, like the tarantula, like how a spider makes its web. They'd be ready to like make this web with you, but only to look around like a few seconds later and poof, you're gone. Like the dragonfly is there and it lets you observe its beauty for like a few seconds before it just darts out of the way and you don't even see it anymore. So the one that we have here is Jupiter, which is abundance. Then Aries, which is very competitive, very fiery, very fun. It has to be the first to do everything. I don't want to say Aries is impulsive, but they're kind of impulsive because they just really have to move. Like they're a cardinal fire sign. What do you expect? Like they have to move around. They have to go. They have to experience. They just have to do whatever it is that they want to do. Just like it says, energies to meet the challenge of your desires regarding, resulting from the honesty and strength, your willpower, what you think you know, do it your own way. That's exactly what Aries is all about, being that trailblazer, doing things on their own. And then we have the fourth house. Yeah, so I kind of am getting the sense that with this fourth house that you were always kind of looking for a home. And maybe that's why you kept running around a lot, but you never really established one because you were running around all the time. So it's like you really didn't get to experience that fourth house home kind of safe feeling, just like it says here about the fourth house. It's what makes you feel secure. It's your support, it's your home base, your family. The next three cards, I'm telling you guys, we had a lot of cards pop out with this one. The next three cards that we have though is Networker. Makes a lot of sense with you moving around a lot. And the networker says light attributes enhances unity through the sharing of information, engenders social awareness and empathy. Then the shadow attributes are conveys information only for personal gains, spreads fear and falsehood. So yeah, I feel like networker is just like attributing to the fact that you were everywhere. Like you were a man or a woman of the world where you had been everywhere. You had seen everything. You knew everyone. I just feel like you were all over the place, like a networker, Then we have child eternal. Light attributes of the child eternal is determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit, ability to see things with fresh eyes. And shadow attributes are inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others for physical security. Yeah, I definitely do see that for sure. Like you just just kind of had this almost very impulsive way of doing things where it was like, and I did kind of get the sense too that you kind of had this like child personality about you because of this Page of Cups over here and the way that you kind of looked at your life, looked back on your life like, man, I really should have did this. I really should have calmed down. I really should have been a little bit more mature about the situation. And, you know, you really try to make it work instead of just up and leaving, is what I kind of feel like went on there. The very next card that we have, Damsel, and the light attributes of a damsel are understanding the nature of healthy romance and inspires you to rely on yourself, and the shadow attributes are waiting for a knight to provide for you. Seduction by romantic illusion. Yeah, so this is another thing right here that lets me know you were very attractive. Whether you were a man or a woman, I do believe that you were very, very attractive, and you pulled in a lot of people for sure. Like, and that's the thing. I don't feel like you were like playing people. I think that you were just, that was just your personality. It's like, you know, get me while I'm here because I'm going to be out. Like, you know, I feel like you were just kind of a fleeting sort of character where you're just like here one moment, gone the next. The next card that we have, look at this. Time to decide. Make a decision based on your heart's true desires. Yeah, you never decided on anything. You never decided on anything in life. I feel like you just kind of ran around place to place, place to place, and never really decided on, like, made a firm decision on anything. So you were never able to have a family because you never really established a relationship with anyone. You were never really able to have a home because you never established a home base anywhere. You were just always moving around, you know? And the next two cards that we have here is, this could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner you seek. Oh, wow. Look at that. And chemistry. There's a strong magnetic attraction here. Those two cards for sure right there definitely lets me know you were such like an attractive person, like with the dragonfly, damsel, and chemistry. And this could be the one over there. Like, yeah, you were a very attractive person. You had a lot of suitors. You had a lot of people after you. You had a lot of people inquiring about you. Like, people really wanted to be with you. No matter your status, no matter who you were in life, no matter what you did, no matter how much money you had, people were just very attracted to you. It could have just been your energy. Or it could have been your physical attraction, but I feel like it was your energy and your physical attraction kind of like really drawing people in here. And I feel like this could be the one. I feel like you probably said that so many times, like maybe this is the one, and then maybe something would happen where you lose that chemistry over like a little fight or something. And you're like, this is why I'm out, and you would just up and be out like every single time. But you had chemistry. I feel like you had so many partners that you had a lot of chemistry with, that you really liked and you really cared about, and you really cared for them. And but I just feel like the second that it wasn't met with this Eight of Wands energy, the second that it kind of lost that Eight of Wands spark energy, that honeymoon phase, that you were just kind of like, I need that phase. I feel like you were so addicted to that excitement that life brings sometimes. And the very next two cards that we have here is flexible, yeah, and exchanging gifts. Yeah, you moved around a lot, man. There, you never established anything anywhere. Exchanging gifts. What can you do for me? I can do for you. And flexible. I mean, that's just being flexible, just being able to bend and move around a lot, and like a chameleon. Like I said, you're just kind of like a chameleon. Like, you know, you kind of did. And then I kind of feel like with this exchanging gifts, I kind of feel like that has something to do with your job as well. Like, I feel like a lot of your job you got from like gifts, or not job, but I feel like you took care of yourself by people giving you things, just because you were just such a magnetic person and people really loved your spark. They really loved your energy. They really just liked you. I feel like people gave you a lot of things, you know? So I don't know, maybe you have like a sugar daddy or a sugar mama or something like that, but I feel like people really provided for you because they just liked you so much. And then next thing you know, you just be up and out. The very next card that we have here is South Node, Life's Debts. Okay. So yeah, that kind of lets me know that you really didn't take a lot of lessons away from this life that you lived with this past life. You didn't really take a lot of lessons away. And another thing is making me feel like is that whatever this past life was for you, I feel like a lot of these attributes or traits you probably have or see in your present life right now, in your present incarnation. And the very last card that we have here is healing. Yeah, candle flame, burn this hour, bring to me your healing power. Yeah, I think you have a lot of attributes or a lot of traits from this past life that you kind of brought over into this one. You probably want to make sure you're not making too many of the same decisions that you were from this past life and this present life and this present incarnation, because it does look like some of your south node is probably from some of that karmic debt is probably from your past life that you lived, which was this one. So, but yeah, this is all I'm saying for my pile number 5s here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to go on ahead and move on to the next group, but I will catch you guys next time. All right. Bye guys. All right. And pile number 6, let's take a look at who you were in your past life. So the very first card that we have is the Emperor in reverse, and then the 7 of Coins in reverse, and then the Empress. And to see this in reverse, I just got a very strong feeling that you're kind of what you did in life was very patriarchal. Like it was very, very male dominated. Like the world has always pretty much been male dominated. I feel like you were in a very male dominated arena or very male dominated like career choice. This almost really kind of feels like my pile 3 for some reason, but it seems like you were in a position where you were expected to be this like guy's guy. And so I kind of feel like maybe your job it had to have been something that was very patriarchal, so probably something like science or something like that, maybe even dealing with the law, like the justice system, or advising something where just, you know, it had to do with like using a lot of logic, using a lot of practicality, basically is what I'm trying to say. I feel like the type of person you were, like, I feel like you were almost kind of like not bored with life, but it wasn't like the most exciting thing to you. I feel like you were the kind of person where you had like a kind of hidden part of yourself or a hidden aspect of yourself that you really didn't want others to see, or you didn't allow others to see it. But and that's why I kind of feel like you kind of wore this mask instead of where you had to be this guy's guy. Like you kind of just wore this mask where you're like, yeah, I'm pretty patriarchal or whatever. And this doesn't mean that you weren't a woman. You could have been a woman too, that was in like maybe like some sort of male dominated field or something. But I just feel like you were whatever job you were involved in, you were definitely expected to kind of like use parts of yourself that you didn't want to. So I feel like you were a very logical and practical person, especially with the 7 of Coins. I feel like you were a very logical person. And so that's why like your brain was really used, like heavily used. Maybe you were a scientist or a doctor, a mathematician, something like that they really benefited from, like scientifically wise or something like that is what I'm kind of getting the feeling of. But you really didn't necessarily enjoy it. For you, it was just kind of boring. It was just kind of like there was no challenge there. You weren't being mentally challenged. You weren't exercising your mental brain, because I feel like you were a very highly intelligent person is what I feel like. Maybe you were like an inventor or something. I don't know. I just kind of feel like people just kind of used you for your brain, and you knew that and you sensed that, and that really wasn't a lot of like fulfillment for you either. I feel like the Empress, I feel like you definitely enjoyed your life, but behind closed doors. I don't know why I'm getting such the strongest feeling that you did not embrace who you truly were to the public. To the public's knowledge, you were patriarchal sort of like person, but behind closed doors, I feel like you were completely different. And I feel like you really let your hair down, like behind closed doors, and you were just like your flamboyant self, like the Empress. The Empress, she has no shame in what it is that she does, who she is, her sexuality. Like she is all about being the divine feminine, and she embraces all parts of it. She is not ashamed of herself and her body at all. The divine feminine is what the Empress is, and that's why she's so extremely comfortable being a mother, as well as like being sexy at the same time and exploring her sexuality. And at the same time, if she has to get pissed off and put people in her place, she'll do that as well, because she's the Empress. She's the other half of the Emperor, you know what I mean? So she's somebody that's very comfortable with who she is. And I feel like you were that way, but just behind closed doors, not in the public arena at all. So let's go ahead and get to you guys' oracle cards here to take a better look at what's going on. So the very first one that we have is Cosmic Egg, and Cosmic Egg deals with your crown chakra, and Cosmic Egg is all about completion and harmony, the infinite with the finite. So yeah, and it's interesting too because this card is all about harmony, and we have the Emperor and the Empress here. So we have really like two sides of the coin, and that's why I kind of feel like you really truly did embrace your divine feminine, all these aspects of like femininity. I really feel like you truly completely embrace that, but like I said, behind closed doors. But to the public eye, you kind of wore this mask, you know, it was just kind of like expected of you in a way. And this, I guess this is why it's kind of making me feel like my pile number 3 is here. But yeah, this card is all about harmony. And look, we have harmony here with the Emperor and the Empress, but the Emperor is in reverse. So it lets me know you kind of had a few issues maybe with your masculine energy, but your feminine energy you completely embraced and you loved it. And I also feel as well that you did live a very good life. I do feel as though, I forgot to mention that as well, I do feel as though you lived a very good life. You lived a very comfortable life, a very wealthy life as well. I do feel like you had I do feel like you were financially abundant, like you had a lot of money, like you're probably very rich is what I feel like, especially with the 7 of Coins here. I feel like money was not an issue to you, and that's probably why you were also bored with your job, was because it just seems like you came from money, or like you had money, like money just was not a factor for you. Like it wasn't anything for you to worry about. You were more worried about and more concerned with this character, this role that you had to play. I don't know. Let's just keep going. So the very next 2 cards that we have here is the 6th house. And the 6th house is ruled by Virgo and Mercury. And it's all about basically, Virgo, she's the temple virgin. So she's all about dedicating herself, devoting herself to this higher power, to helping and being of service. And that's the feeling that I'm getting with this Emperor card, was just like you kind of devoted yourself, but you really didn't want to. And this also deals with, as well, the 6th house also deals with like the routine, day to day, your work, things like that. And then we have the sign Sagittarius here. So Sagittarius is a very free spirit, very free thinker. It is the it's a mutable fire sign. So they're very just all about, and that's why they're represented as the bow, because they're very like all about experiencing everything that there is to experience in life. And so you might have been a Sagittarius in your past life, or your south node, your current birth chart, your south node may be in Sagittarius. I do feel as though you were very like free living, like I feel like you were very like just kind of out there with your life and how you lived your life and how you expressed yourself, but you did it in privacy. You definitely did not do this, like I said, publicly at all. The next card that we have is past life relationship. You have known each other before. So maybe you were very caught up with a partner or something that it feels like maybe it was like kind of like maybe like a slightly toxic relationship. If it was a past life relationship, it probably wasn't the best one. But I'm also getting with the past life relationship that it was also like kind of like behind closed doors. Like past life, I don't know why, but this just looks like really steamy, and like it was just like no one really knew. But I feel like this might have been a relationship that you kept going on for a very long time, but no one knew that you were in this relationship. I feel like you were a very private, secretive person. The next 2 cards that we have here is study. Reading, research, and education help you gain confidence and clarity about your career. All right. So yeah, I do think that you had some sort of patriarchal sort of like career, like I said, science, arithmetic, mathematics, things like that, just the practical kind of logical jobs. And then we have the next card, yoga, which couldn't be more opposite of like the study card. It's like yoga is all about like energy and zen and everything. This is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like you had such an extreme polarity, but one side was only seen in the house and the other side was your public face. The next 2 cards that we have here is to be fair. Okay, so maybe you did work in the justice system or something. You might have definitely worked in the justice system to see this fair card right here, especially with the scales. And then we have TikTok. Now, TikTok for me feels like it feels like a lot of pressure. I don't know, but like looking at this card, I feel like I'm getting nervous. Like I feel like I have a deadline or something like that. Like there's like a lot of pressure, and I feel like that's what you experienced in your past life, was you had a lot of pressure between kind of marrying like your public life and your private life. Like I feel like they just never really went together. So you went through a lot of pressure to keep your private life very secretive, like hidden away. I feel like there was just a lot of pressure from who it was that you really wanted to be. I feel like you dealt with a lot of pressure to keep up with this public face, but it just wasn't who you were. The very next, I pulled 3 cards. We had some extra cards here. So the next card that we have is student, just like study over here. And the light attributes are humility and devotion to knowledge, openness to lifelong learning. And then the shadow is arrogance in the pursuit of destructive knowledge, unwillingness to translate knowledge into action. This sounds just like the 6th house and this study card over here. So we've got the student as 1. The next one that we have is king. Light attributes, enlightened, benevolent, leadership, benefiting those in your charge. And then the shadow attributes, we have excessive feelings of entitlement, rulership without restraint. Okay, so the next card that we have here is judge. Yeah, so maybe you definitely did something in the justice system to see this to be fair card, and then knowing that you had some sort of very logical job. You might have been a judge or something. And it says balancing justice and compassion, managing the fair distribution of power. And the shadow is offering only destructive criticism, misusing business, legal, or criminal authority. So, okay, I don't necessarily get the feeling that you were a king, but you could have been. I mean, because I do feel as though, like I said, I feel as though money was not an issue for you. I feel like you were very well taken care of, and I do feel as though you had to be like I said, like this manly man, and who's more manly than like a king or something, you know? The very next 2 cards that we have here is 5th house creativity, which is ruled by Leo, which is the sun, and Leo's a very regal, another very regal sign to go along with this king or this judge here. So that's pretty interesting. And the sun is a masculine, it's a masculine sign. Leo's a masculine sign, or the sun is a masculine energy. So yeah, very like a lot of masculinity going on here. And then we have North Node, life's purpose. Yeah, so I feel like you just kind of had these expectations of you already. And I feel like in this life, it was a lot of pressure for you to move towards your North Node and being more free as an individual. But you were just so afraid to move towards your North Node, your life's purpose, where it was just like, I know who I truly am behind closed doors, but I just can't be that person. I feel like you never really kind of stood up to that and kind of like freed yourself from this person that you were supposed to be, or this mask that you were supposed to wear. I don't feel like you ever really freed yourself. And the very last 2 cards that we have here is new beginnings. Let this magic in my spell clear the space in which I dwell. And then letting go. Allow the wisdom to remain, but the sting I shall never feel again. So yeah, I feel like you were definitely supposed to have started over with your past life. I feel like you were supposed to have really embraced the person that you wanted to be, but you just really could, like, you were so afraid. I feel like you were really supposed to have let go of like this mask that you felt like you were supposed to wear, but you really didn't. Like, you really gave into who you were supposed to have been. And I feel like you kind of wasted away your life doing that. But I do feel as though, like, if it wasn't for you just kind of being yourself behind closed doors, you would have completely lost your shit. I do feel as though you still lived a very good life. It was just like in private, and it was in secrecy. So it wasn't necessarily like fair, you know, for you. I'm also getting the feeling that maybe like your sexual orientation or your sexual preference back in the day was just completely unacceptable, because it's kind of the feeling that I'm getting is like, there's so much secrecy here. I just kind of feel as though, yeah, maybe it had a lot to do with like your sexual orientation, and it just was not accepted at this part, in this part of the world, at this point in time in history. It just wasn't accepted. I feel as though you probably did die young as well too. Not too young, but I feel like you were in your adult years, but I feel like you may have had some depression because of the secret. Like, you had a lot of pressure on you. I just feel like a lot of pressure with this spread. And I think that pressure did start to get to you. And I think you might have went out a little early. And I don't think you ever really fulfilled this North Node, your life's purpose. I kind of feel like maybe you took your life at a certain point because you were just you had so much pressure on you to just be perfect, to be this person that you just weren't, you know? Which is actually really, 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 really sad. One last thing I want to say to my pile number 6 with this North Node over here. I really feel like this card came up because it's saying, like, in this present life, in your present incarnation, the life that you're living right now, I think it's saying, like, really take your life into your own hands, because your last life you didn't, and it really led to like your kind of like demise in a sense. So I feel like that card really came up to say, hey, you really embrace what it is that you're born to do, or what it is that you're born to be, whoever that is. I I don't care if you like feel ashamed of it or you feel like scared to be who you truly are, be it. Like shine your light as bright as you freaking can. It was just kind of like a reminder to just be you and don't let anyone stop you from being you. But this is all I'm saying for my pile number 6. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll be back next time. Okay, bye guys.